Good afternoon to one and all present in this session. I'm Advait from Consulting Analytics Club IIT Guwahati, and I hope everyone are doing well. Before we start the session, I would like to talk a little bit about the club. So, the Consulting Analytics Club, popularly known as CNA, is IIT Guwahati's in-campus society under the technical board of IIT Guwahati. We were established in 2016, and we are working hard ever since to facilitate a seamless transition from graduate school to a successful career in management consulting and data analytics through awareness, skill building, and networking. We leverage focus groups and expert interviews to conduct in-depth research on core demand areas to facilitate skill building among members. Today we have with us Mr. Utkarsh Gupta, an alumnus of our college, currently working as an associate at Boston Consulting Group. He has also interned at PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, and Marico. Over to you, Bhaiya.
Thanks a lot, Advait, and thanks a lot, Team CNA, for inviting me. It's always wonderful to come back and interact with all of you. So today we'll be talking about consulting and specifically internships related to consulting. Okay, I'll just share my slides. Okay, and then we can probably start. Yeah, let me know if it is visible.
Yes, Bhaiya, it's visible.
Yes, yeah, it's visible. And also, everyone, you can put your questions in the chat box. We'll be answering all of them after the session ends. Okay.
Okay, so I guess let's start by like a brief intro about consulting and typically what exactly consulting is, because I feel that a lot of you might be new to it, and understanding the basics first is more essential. Okay, so consulting is typically advising your client or a person who has approached you regarding any problem. Particularly, we deal with business problems and providing solutions to that. So it will go on from identifying what the problem is exactly, and then narrowing down to how the problem can be solved, and then suggesting innovative strategies to actually make an impact and solve that particular problem. So there can be different types of consulting. Okay, particularly primarily you'll be dealing with management consulting or strategy consulting. Okay, which will involve all your problems related to say marketing, finance, then operations and other things. Apart from that, there can be like financial as well. There can be even education consultants. So there are education consultants who will suggest you, okay, which college you can particularly join or what career steps you can take. So that will include an education consulting. There's legal consulting as well. Okay, so the next thing is like what kind of work do consultants typically do, and what are the projects which are assigned. Okay, so see, the projects are like very diversified. Okay, so it is not specifically that you'll be working in one particular industry, or you'll be focused only on the finance aspect. Okay, so that diversity is there. So you'll be working on all verticals in which that particular practice is there. Okay, so it can be industrial goods, it can be IT, it can be your operations, FMCG, and banks or whatever. So like all kind of companies can provide you projects. So the industry fields are very varied, and the roles also. So it can also be of like developing a business plan or doing a financial analysis, or like basically a cost cutting project or a market entry project. So like that kind of diversity is always there. Okay, there are some misconceptions. Okay, so like I'll just clarify those as well. So it's not a 9 to 5 job. Typically, like the week starts like around on Monday, 6 a.m. and it ends on Friday. You board a flight on Monday and you return back on Friday. So like on the weekdays, you're at the client location, and on the weekends, you can stay at home and chill if the time permits. Okay, then Then there are certain advantages also. It's like a client facing job, so you'll be interacting with all the top management of the like company, all the CXOs or the managing directors. And so the role basically implies that you'll be interacting with the client, you'll be asking the problems, the functioning of the company or the like practice or whatever. Okay, what all you'll be extracting data from them. Okay, so there's a lot of interaction, and that's with the top management as well as the lower management, because you'll be extracting data from them as well. Okay, and then you'll be doing your analysis on it. First, the market research will precede it, then the analysis, and finally, you will strategize upon the solutions and present the solutions. So yeah. So any like I would want that this session is very interactive, like as mentioned. So like please ask questions or pause me like whenever you want. Yeah, and I'll request Advait and Mansi, like you guys pause in between and like tell me all the questions that people have put in the chat box. Okay, so like we'll move on. Okay, so like first I thought that probably I'll just introduce you to consulting and the advantages, like what all are there. Okay, and then probably we can go into okay. So if your interest lies in consulting, then how you should proceed about it, how you should like get an internship, or how you can probably explore about the like work opportunities and prepare your profile according to it. Okay, so again the advantages are like firstly there's accelerated professional growth. So when you have worked so much in like diverse fields and like interacted so much with the top management, okay, your next career switch after consulting is like a pretty decent like advancement in your career. Okay, so you'll be landing up directly as managers or directors. Okay, depending on like after how much time you're exiting. Okay, then high paying jobs, so like that's almost for every industry that you'll go to. Okay, then there's like a fancy lifestyle, so you'll be staying always in like five-star hotels. There's constant travel on Mondays and Fridays and sometimes in between them. Okay, then yeah, there is work diversity as well. Okay, and there's work flexibility. So like over the course as you progress in the career, so you can narrow down, okay, this is my area of interest. Okay, or these fields I want to work specifically in. Okay, then like probably people can gain like interest in education or social impact. Okay, so they can narrow down their career. Okay, I'll be interacting only with these specific clients, so that everything is like offered. Okay, and yeah, the exit opportunities and everything. So yeah. Okay, now the how to apply. Okay, so I think most of you are here only because of like how to apply for like internships related to consulting. Okay, so see, like on campus internships during my time were relatively lower. So probably at max one or two companies would visit. Okay, and that keeps on changing. So, but like over the course, like since I think CNA was inaugurated, okay, in 2016, post that the number of students who are interested in consulting, that is also increasing rapidly, as well as like as the interest of students increase, CCD as well calls more companies related to consulting. Okay, so that increases like going on. So I don't know like how many consulting firms will come this year on campus. Okay, but whatever how many of them come, you can like apply to them. Okay, I'll talk about the how to prepare for like how to build a resume and how to prepare for consulting interviews after probably 3 or 4 slides. Okay, on this, like I'd like to talk about off-campus internships as well because they are the preferred mode. Okay, so uh, the first and the most effective way in which like I usually approached for internship was cold mailing. Okay, so I usually combined the cold mailing with LinkedIn. So I used to send connect with people of different consulting firms on LinkedIn. Okay, and extract their email ID, and through that I used to cold mail them. Okay, now that mail needs to be personalized. Okay, it shouldn't be like a copy paste or using the exact same thing and just changing the company name or something. Okay, just try to personalize it as much as you can. What specific role are you applying for? Why are you particularly interested in that particular company? Okay, so these things try to make sure. Okay, so it won't land up in their spam mail, and you have a greater chance that you'll actually receive a reply from them. Okay, and like also it's like important, like while code mailing, you can like time the mails to probably like during working hours, or preferably not during weekends or like after work hours, because usually people don't check the mails after that time. Yeah. The third thing is like LinkedIn. So like few things to keep in mind during that is like update your profile regularly, be active on LinkedIn. Okay, so you can post, you can connect with people, and you can have a discussion with them, probably connect over a short call on the weekend. So like these things you can do to keep your LinkedIn active. Okay, so these are the opportunities. And it is not necessarily you have to start once added to your internship, like the date you are planning to do an internship. It's a gradual process. So like after the talk, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I think most of you might be having. Okay, like just update it. Okay, and build your network. Okay, there are other ways as well. Okay, not all are effective. One is like applying to the career section. Okay, and like the various job portals. Like it's not that effective, but it's worth a try, since you will be emailing so many people as well as connecting with so many people. So you can always like look into that particular company and any opportunities which are there. So usually summer opportunities or winter opportunities are there on the portals, and you can apply on them. Okay, any questions till now, or do you want to ask or discuss any particular thing?
No, there are no questions until now.
Okay, then we'll move forward then. Okay, so the companies you can target. Okay, so in this, uh, so I try to classify them into like the tier one, tier two, and tier three consulting firms as well. Okay, you can look upon them on LinkedIn. Okay, so on LinkedIn also there is a effective way to connect to gain opportunities, is that connect with mid-level managers of these firms. Okay, because they are the people who would be managing a short team, and within their team, if there is any requirement, so they can probably forward it to you or see if your profile fits into that criteria. And so like that's a very effective way. Okay, so tier one is a little difficult because they do not hire from off campus that much. Okay, but tier two and tier three you can obviously like approach. And in fact, like the big four, EY, PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte. So these are actually pretty easy to gain an internship if you are very active. You are connecting with the right people. Okay, because a lot of opportunities are available, particularly in these four firms. Okay, others like Dalberg, LEK, Strategy, and okay, Redseer and Zenov, they are particularly Indian firms, so they would be very much interested. And I think Redseer came to campus also, if I'm not wrong, last year. So these are a few companies you can approach. Okay, and now just one thing. So it is possible that not all of you might be able to gain a consulting internship, but might be interested in securing a job in consulting later on. So in that case, how to build a profile? Okay, so I'll tell a few tips and tricks for that as well. Okay, so it's not necessary to always have a consulting internship, because in consulting firms, people from all backgrounds and all sorts of experience join in. Okay, they'll always prefer someone who already has a consulting experience. But if you're not able to gain that, then try for banking firms. Okay, try for FMCG companies. Okay, and probably data analytics as well. Okay, so these are the skills which might be which are actually useful later on in consulting. So they'll prefer people who have these experiences as well. Okay, but while looking for like companies to intern with, always look for big brands. I'll talk about this later in the resume section as well. Okay, but the brand names are very important for you to get shortlisted in the next round. For you to clear the resume shortlist. Okay, so brand names are by brand names I usually mean like all the big firms that you hear about. Okay, for banking it can be GSG, PMC, okay, or like even HDFC, Access Bank. Okay, so like you got the gist of that. Okay, so and similarly for FMCG and other sectors. Okay, it doesn't have to be restricted to consulting. You can apply and you can particularly look for strategy type of roles in these companies. Okay, so that is again a thing you can do. Moving on then.
Bhaiya, we
Okay.
have a question
Okay.
on chat. Uh, so Vivekananda asks how data analytics and consulting are related.
Okay. So how data analytics and consulting are related. So basically, typically when you will be interacting with a client through interviews or like the company data which is provided, you'll be performing analysis on that to gather some insights. Okay, so at that point, data analytics is pretty useful. So in consulting, typically Alteryx and like Excel, these are the primary tools used. Okay, but like if the data is pretty heavy, then they'll use Python as well. So particularly all the consulting firms, they have a analytics division as well. Okay, so if you already have the data analytics skills, okay, so then it is pretty easy for you. Okay, data analytics and design, these are the two other skills which are helpful when you'll be actually working in a consulting environment. So yeah. Okay, so no other questions. So I'll just move on to the in the interviews or the selection process, there are 2 to 3 rounds. Okay, the first is the resume shortlist. Okay, and this is the most important aspect. Okay, because consulting firms take resume very seriously compared to other companies that you might have heard of. Okay, because they look for you as a whole individual, as in what all experiences you have gained over the years. Okay, so the for consulting specifically, resume will matter a lot. Okay, and if you look at the resume, they will particularly focus on 4 sections. First is the education. Okay, the second is experience. The third is PORs, and the fourth is extracurriculars. And here extracurriculars will matter a lot. Okay, because they want a person who is an all-rounder rather than a person only focused on the academics. Okay, so and like while preparing a consulting resume, or even if you look at an interviewer's point of view, okay, he will look for peaks in the resume. Now, now what all would constitute a peak? Okay, if you look at the education aspect, then a CPI of probably 9 plus, or you are the branch topper, okay, or you have won the institute gold medal or something like that. Okay, so these would constitute as peaks, or you could have like uh, gain like published a research paper in a prestigious conference, or like have a patent to yourself, okay, and have prestigious scholarships. So these will also count as peaks. Okay, then experience, as I already mentioned. So it's like they'll be looking for brand names particularly in that. Okay, and a diverse profile is always better than a very focused profile. Say like if you're only focused on data analytics, then it won't uh, like help you as much as if a person has done say an operations intern and a data analytics intern or some business development intern. So like have a diverse profile as well, but at the same time, brand names should be very important. Okay, and these are not only restricted to like big firms. It can be also prestigious universities as well, in which you might have done research internships. Okay, so a foreign experience in research internships is actually pretty helpful. Okay, and third, PORs. So I don't think I should need to emphasize more on that. They will look a lot on the leadership skills. Okay, so if you are internship coordinator, placement coordinator, if you are one of the senate members or a club secretary, so all these position of responsibilities would help a lot. Okay, and extracurriculars. So again, we can divide extracurriculars into 3, 4 sections. So one can be sports. Okay, Okay, if you have represented in Inter-IT or like won a medal there, so that's again a peak. Then it could be same for cultural as well. So sports, cultural, they are very much focused on social impact as well. Okay, so any like NGO or any other like social work that you have done over the course of years, so that's very helpful in your resume. Okay, and like extracurriculars actually can include a lot of different things as well. Okay, so like if there is a significant achievement or like probably you hosted a talk at a say national radio or something, so like these are also achievements, so you can mention these in extracurriculars and they are also looked at extensively. Okay, so these were about weeks, so I'll just take a pause here and like if there are any questions, so you can discuss.
Yeah, Bhaiya, there's a question asked on the form. Bhaiya, can you give us some insights about the CPI barriers for on-campus and off-campus internships?
Okay, so typically most firms won't keep a CPI barrier, but they will be looking for like folks which have a good CPI. So 8 plus CPI is always helpful, but at the same time there is no CPI barrier. So if you don't have a good CPI, they will expect that you have good experiences, you have good PORs, or you have good extracurriculars. Okay, so they'll probably expect that out of the 4 sections, you have peaks in at least 2 sections. Okay, so if education for education, if your CPA isn't good, then try to compensate it in experience and extracurriculars or POs. Okay, any other question before we move on?
No, we are not as of now.
Uh, okay, so now initially when you do not have any experience as such and you are approaching say for your first internship, so at that time how do you bring credibility to your profile? Okay, so like during that you can include projects, okay, and case competitions. Case competitions would be helpful during your like at the end of your resume as well. Okay, so in extracurriculars you can probably divide it into 2 sections. I divided it into like a section for specifically for case competition because I was active on that. Okay, and the others components which I mentioned earlier. Okay, now case competitions are typically a small business problem, and that will give you an exposure to like solving those business problems, developing slides and ideation, and developing strategies to solve those problems. So they are pretty helpful. Okay, and I'll encourage that all of you at least take part in 2 or 3 case competitions definitely. Okay, so I'll just cover projects first, then we'll move on to case competitions. Then. Okay, so for projects, see, it can be any business related project. Okay, you can perform an industry analysis on any particular sector or industry you feel. Okay, market research. Okay, like say a market research on the gaming industry. Okay, what's the trends? What are the upcoming challenges? Okay, or like electric vehicles. So like it can be any particular topic. You can perform a market research in that. You can develop a marketing strategy for any particular firm or startup for your of your interest. Okay, or a competitive analysis. Okay, then it can be even a market entry plan. So, say Tesla entering India, you can design a like foolproof plan as to what all steps Tesla can take or what all challenges it will face while entering the Indian market. Okay, so like these are the typical type of projects. Okay, and it's actually good that if you do a project like a group project, so in that way you can have good insightful discussions with your team members. Okay, and at the same time it's pretty fun to work with in a team. Okay, so yeah, that's about projects. Okay, and I think CNA already covers a lot of projects every year, so you can take part in that. Okay, next moving on to case competitions. So I have mentioned a few which like happened during my time. Okay, and competitions always increase, and like the best site I feel is Dare to Compete, where you can check about the case competitions, everything. Okay, a lot of companies like conduct competitions. Okay, and originally it was primarily meant for B schools only. Okay, but now they are opening up for engineering grads as well. Okay, and EXL EQ is like a very good competition you can take part. So it will be for your third year end around Feb and March. So this is a good one. Okay, they also provide PPOs after that. Okay, then there are like almost all the IITs, IIMs, and in fact colleges from Delhi universities and foreign universities, they all organize their own base competitions. Wherever there's a consulting culture or a B school is there. Okay, Creative Shock, CBS, ICCs, ICCs of Kharagpur, then CNA conducts its strategy storm. Okay, then so these are the typical case competitions you can take part in. Okay, so again, we'll just pause. Any questions as such?
Yes, Bhaiya. So it's a common saying that consulting is actually a very hard job. So is it right? And if it is, what is the hardest part of being a consultant?
Okay, an interesting question. Okay, so see, as such, there is no hard job or an easy job. It's like adapting to that particular culture. Okay, if you are interested in the problem solving skills, if you're interested in like developing business plans or like doing their market research, okay, sitting down and taking interviews of clients, analyzing their problems. So if you get accustomed to that work and you develop a liking for that, okay, then it's not a straight tough thing. Okay, you will progress as you go on. Okay, things will become easier. The first project will always be tough because you don't know where to start off from. Okay, and people in that particular industries or that particular firm, okay, then it's pretty easy to extract information, and that will make your job easier. Okay, or you have prior insights related to that thing. Okay, but if you're starting afresh, then obviously it will be tough. That will be true for any particular like job profile, even SD for that matter. Okay, so it's not specifically consulting, but yeah, the work life is a bit tiring because like as I mentioned, there is usually a Monday flight and a Friday flight. Okay, and if you're not able to finish the job till Friday, okay, then probably it might spill over to the weekend as well. Okay, but that again depends on your manager. Okay, and now one stark difference between a person working on a desk job, say SD, data analytics, or even product management, and is different from consulting is that there the project duration is pretty long. So you have to complete a project. Say in next 2 years or 3 years. Okay, the deadlines are flexible and they're pretty long. But here, since the client has hired you and is paying you pretty exorbitantly, okay, the deadlines are short and they expect like stark changes or stark improvements in their company performance. Okay, within a very short period of time. So you are expected from day one to like dwell very deep into the industry and like identify problems, what our problems are there in the way. It is a little stressful. Hope
Uh,
that cleared your doubt, like, or like any follow-up question regarding that.
yeah, there's also questions on chat. Uh, Bhaiya, have you seen anyone transition from product design to consulting? So if so, how easy will be that transition? And does this apply for any other domains also?
From product Okay, so I feel that consulting is one particular field in which people from any background can get into this particular field because the only things which are required is a structured thinking and a problem solving approach. Okay, so it is not tough even for you to transit from SD into consulting. Okay, and again, like it's the beauty of this particular industry is that from consulting you can exit into any particular industry because you have would have worked in so many different types of fields that you can make a exit operations, finance, everywhere. Okay, IT. So that is something. Now, since you asked about product design, so for a transition, I would like highly encourage you to start with few case projects and take part in few competitions. Okay, so that will help you develop that problem solving and that structured thinking approach. Okay, and since you're already in product design, so I feel that making slides won't be such a tedious job for you. Okay, so making slides is very important in this. So during every submission or every presentation to the client, you are expected to make lots and lots of slides. Okay, that's the way you will be conveying your insights to them. Okay, so yeah, so I think it's not a tough thing. Okay, but just that do some projects, participate in case competitions. Okay, and like the way I told you, you have to build a profile for consulting, and that takes time. It's a like it's a slow process. It's not like okay, you are probably sitting for SD, so you have to prep for 3 months, do coding and just crack the interviews. It doesn't work that way. They would look at your resume, which will depict how, like, from where all you gathered your experience. Okay, so those things will matter. So yeah, that is one thing.
Also, Bhaiya, can you give some insights about strengthening the networking through regular and good posts?
Okay, so yeah, so for that, one easy way is like if you came across say any particular business news or any particular insight while you're data. Okay, so you can just form a short summary. Okay, or you can pose it like a question, like promote sort of a discussion on that. Okay, so if we can think about it is um, okay, so say suppose like I'll tell you about a recent problem that I'm facing is okay. So there's a huge shortage of flats in Bangalore. Okay, so since like you came across this problem, okay, now you can develop your analysis on that. Okay, and develop a post based on it. Okay, what are the problems that people are might be facing? Okay, what can be the solutions to that? That will promote a discussion. So like for LinkedIn, it's not specifically that it should be business news only or it should be company insight only. Okay, it can be day-to-day problems only and framed in a way that you are providing the solutions to the problem as well as promoting discussion with that. So like that's pretty helpful.
Also, Bhaiya, how can we prepare for the competitions?
Prepare for the case study competitions.
Yeah.
Okay, so see the to prepare for the case study competitions, like two or three things are there. Okay, firstly, like analyze the problem statement effectively. Okay, so like read through the lines. Okay, go through the data. Okay, so like that's first like the market research that you have to do. Okay, go through the internet, go through different sites wherever the information is available. Okay, some tips and tricks is see developing solutions to the problem, that is one aspect, and over time that thinking will improve because you will get to know more about the frameworks which are there, what all models you can apply. So those things you will get to know over time. You can go through a lot of resources. I'll be also sharing a lot of resources towards the end. Okay, you can go through them. So all these things you can apply while like solving that particular problem in the case competition. Now the thing which actually helps you like qualify for the next round or win that particular competition is how you are portraying that information on the PowerPoint presentation or whatever slides that you are making. Okay, and that again will come from experience. You will look at the presentations which are made by other people. Okay, you will develop your own templates. So originally when you start, you will be taking preform templates which are available on the net. Okay, over time, okay, you'll see index is important. We have to put that. We can like make a summary slide towards the start. Okay, and like it's better to make the slide less content heavy and more of infographics should be there. Okay, so let's say you will learn over time. Okay, so like these are tips you can use to improve your slide writing, and these two things are the most important aspect for winning any case competition. First is like diagnosing the problem and like coming up with good solutions. Okay, and the second thing is making beautiful slides. Okay, and like I'll also encourage that you guys read a lot of business news. Okay, or like go through different like strategies which companies have utilized to succeed. Okay, so like probably go through the marketing strategy used by Coca-Cola or Apple or any other big firms that you like know. Okay, go through their like growth stage. Okay, how they progressed and what all effective things they could use. Okay, so that will help you gain more ideas, which you can probably customize towards your business problem. Okay. Next question. I hope that like answered your question. Like if you have any specific follow-up, you can ask.
Here you can continue.
Okay. Okay. So post the resume shortlist, there is a case interview process. Okay. Now, like there can be multiple rounds of interview. The first would be a case question or business problem. Okay, and the second would be like fit questions, which would pertain to like HR questions. Okay, so what would typically be a case question? It could include your guesstimates. It could include a profitability case. So I like what I feel is I don't think most of you might be aware of what a profitability case would be, what a market entry case would be. Okay, so I'll just give a short like info on all of them. Okay, so let's start with the estimates. Okay, and like if time permits and you guys are interested, then we can probably do a guesstimate towards the end as well. Okay, but like we'll see about that. Okay, so guesstimates are typically that through extracting a little bit of information, okay, you are able to approximately estimate the like amount of like whatever thing is asked to quantify. Okay, so the guesstimates can be say like how many orders are delivered by Amazon in India in a particular year. Okay, so like this is you won't find this exact data on the internet. Okay, because this might not be have made public by the company. Okay, but like using some assumptions. Okay, and like asking about some publicly available information. Okay, you can easily estimate. Okay, so it might be around 2 million or 3 million, so like a ballpark figure. Okay, guesstimates are never accurate. Okay, but they are usually pretty much in that approximate range. Okay, then next is profitability case. Okay, profitability case again. So I'll tell you brief about the case interview process. Okay, so like guesstimates are a little different. Now all the other cases, the profitability case, the market entry case, pricing case, and the unconventional case. Okay, they usually follow a case interview process. Okay, what's typically in that is like you will be posed a business problem. So it can be say restaurant ABC is facing a decline in revenue since the last 5 years. So this is like a problem which is posed to you. Okay, now what is expected from you is you have to identify what is the actual problems that particular restaurant is facing, due to which it is experiencing decline in revenues. Okay, and the second aspect is you coming up with solutions to diagnose that particular problem. Now, it's a series of questions which you will ask the interviewer. Okay, and he will provide you information related to that. Okay, so the information, it can be like, okay, they are not able to produce as much as the demand is there. Okay, so now you have to come up with certain questions to extract this particular information, as in whether this is particular to this restaurant or is it across all the other restaurants within that particular restaurant chain, or is it an industry-wide phenomena or particularly to our client. Okay, what's the time frame in which the revenue decline is there. Okay, so these are like some of the questions that you will ask the interviewer. interviewed, he will provide you information, and based on that, you will develop your hypothesis. Okay, so once you have identified the problems, okay, these are the few problems, or say the employee cost is very large. Okay, so that's why their say profits are declining. So that can be one aspect. Okay, and second, I told you like they're not able to produce much. So that can the reasons for that you have identified as that there's a shortage of raw materials. Okay, and there are not enough suppliers of raw materials. So like these are supposedly the three problems you have narrowed down to after having a discussion with the interviewer. Okay, and by extracting information from him. So the next step is that you will provide solutions to solve these problems. Okay, if the raw materials are not available in abundant quantity, then can we shift to alternatives? What all alternatives might be available? Okay, it might be possible that there's a shortage of these raw materials in this particular region. So can we explore other regions as well? Okay, so regarding the staffing problem, can we optimize the staffing model in such that we can reduce the number of employees? Okay, or we can make like we can hire more employees at say per hour basis or contractual basis. So like these are some of the solutions that you will again provide to solve these problems. So this is how case interview typically goes on. Okay, so now this problem was based on a profitability case. Okay, for market entry case, it can be so it comes from the meaning only. Market entry means there's a business which is planning to expand into this particular region. Okay, or it can be say Nestle is trying to expand into the food business. Sorry, vegetable business. Okay, it already has its presence in the food business. Okay, it wants to expand more into like the fruits and vegetable business. So like that again can be a market entry problem. Okay, the pricing case again, it's like okay, I have a say Lenovo laptop. Okay, new model is coming up. What range I should like what pricing I should keep for it? Okay, so that will typically include your pricing case. And unconventional can be anything. Okay, I'm getting late for work. Okay, what are the problems like I'm facing because due to which I'm getting late, and what all solutions I can explore. Okay, so that can also be an unconventional case. Okay, like unconventional case can be anything. Okay, so that is one. And lastly, in the case of interview, they can be even a business, general business problem they can take up and they can have a discussion on it. So that is pretty random. Okay, and usually that's not there. It will be a proper case question, but again, a business discussion on the latest news, for example, that can be also be there. Like it can be even a political discussion, or like they can randomly ask, okay, how the electric vehicle industry can grow within the within India. Okay, so like these are general business problems which you can have a discussion about. Okay, the next thing, okay, I'll just take a pause here. So
Yeah, we have a
any
question on chat. Here does CFA or FRM help in consulting?
see directly CFA or FRM won't help you in consulting. Okay, because these are certifications which actually provide that you have a say proficiency in finance. Okay, so and in consulting they expect you to be generalist, not specialist. Okay, so like directly it won't help, but again, like if you have done CFA or FRM, then you have an exposure to finance. Okay, and whenever any particular financial concept comes up, you are better equipped to handle that. Okay, so like I won't suggest that if you haven't done CFA or FRM and is targeting consulting, that you should go and acquire these certifications. But if you already have, then it's always a bonus.
Also, here, do
I hope
internships
that
in
answers
early
the
stage
question.
startups add value to our resume? Do internships in early stage
Okay,
startups add value?
it, yeah, so it's yes and no. Okay, consulting firms will typically look for big brands on your resume. Okay, but if you have worked on in a startup, then like startups typically give you more exposure towards the work. So you will know how to conduct market research. You would know like how to do the competition analysis or develop that business plan and everything. So they will expose you towards that like the work, and you will learn a lot. But whether that will add value to your resume, that's like debatable. It won't specifically add that much value because they are looking for brand names. But like it's okay to start off with a startup and then progress to big firms. Okay, because like some experience is always better than no experience, right?
Yeah. So here we have also another question in the chat. Can someone from a technology consulting background in Big Four industries, Big Four companies, move to a management or strategy consulting in MBBs?
Yeah, definitely. Like with the changing times, like all typical projects have a digital component associated with them. Okay, so it can be digitizing whatever operations they have, or developing a digital marketing strategy or whatever. So like some component of digitization is always there. So like if you have a technology consulting background, it will always help. And you, since you are saying you already it's done in a big four, then yeah, you have that branding as well.
Also, Bhaiya, while approaching employees from different firms, how can we strike a very good first impression?
Okay, so it's for that, it's like typically go through their work, okay, or whether they have posted something on LinkedIn which you found insightful. Okay, so you can have a discussion on that aspect. Okay, so like say someone is in FMCG field. Okay, if he hasn't posted anything on LinkedIn, okay, and you don't know anything about his specific work, it can be like for a starter question, it can be like what was the COVID impact on the FMCG industry and how do you see the FMCG industry going forward? Okay, so it's like you're striking a discussion with him. Okay, so apart from your initial introduction, okay, start like try to develop a conversation. Okay, and like once a conversation is developed, then you are at a certain level that you can approach him for any internship opportunity. Because if you just type an introductory message and post a message that I am looking for internships in this particular firm, he doesn't know you. Okay, why should he like waste his time or waste some of his reference that he has on you because you are nobody to him? Okay, but if you already have a discussion with him, okay, then like he knows, okay, you are a smart kid. Okay, you have that level of critical thinking with you. Okay, and he might take out some time to go through your resume as well, and then provide you with the relevant opportunities.
Hello,
Okay,
Bhaiya.
I think there's another question. How easy or difficult? Yeah.
Yeah. So, Bhaiya, how
Yes,
easy
Satya.
or
So I'll
difficult
just read
to?
another question which is there in the chat.
Yeah. Yes, Bhaiya. You can go. So the question is, how easy or difficult is to shift
Okay.
to
How easy?
consulting from some other field, or shift from consulting to some other fields?
Okay, like I mentioned earlier, skills and like how much creative solutions that you can come up with. So like these are the two core skills that they're looking for. Apart from all the soft skills that you might develop. Okay, so soft skills would be your client interaction, how you're conducting that, your leadership qualities, so and your communication skills. So these would constitute your soft skills. Okay, and these are the hard skills, they are problem solving skills which are there. Okay. Now, since consulting would have clients from various different backgrounds, they also expect that their like employees come from various backgrounds so that there is an exchange of information. Because when you are working in a team with one member who is a CA, the other is from like who has done an MBA, the third one has an engineering background, the fourth one has a legal background. So when the discussion takes place, it's a pretty insightful discussion, and there's a good exchange of ideas because all of them are coming from different backgrounds. So they actually promote hiring from different fields. Hope that answered your question there.
Bhaiya, we also have another question. Bhaiya, what is digital consultancy?
Okay, so like we talked about business problems, so there can be technical problems also. Okay, so when digital consultancy is provided by usually the IT service firms like TCS, HCL. Okay, then it can be Infosys or Accenture. Okay, so these are the companies which provide digital consultancy. Okay, it can be like you want to develop a particular software. Okay, or you want help as to optimize a certain digital process. So that would typically constitute digital consultancy. Like all problems which are related to IT or the technological field, okay, they will come under digital consultancy.
Okay, Maya. There's another question. So they're asking how different is a product management profile from a consulting profile?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Mansi?
Yeah, so how, like, basically they're asking the difference between a PM product management profile and a consulting profile.
Okay, so in product management, typically you are working on that particular project and you take care of all the like aspects of that typical product. Okay, so it can be say if you are we'll consider an app which is Make My Trip. Okay, you are working on that search part of that. So that's a product for that particular startup. You are the product manager of that. Okay, so you will take care of all the the finances associated with it. Okay, to ultimately deploying it into the main product. So that's the product manager's role. Okay, whereas in consulting, it is firstly very diverse and like uh, like you don't have to work on very specific areas. Okay, you first have to analyze a lot of things. Okay, analyze the problems and then like explore the solutions. Whereas a product manager, he knows okay, these problems are there. Okay, which is very specific, and then he will try to explore the problems associated with that.
Also, Bhaiya, how can we approach guesstimates?
Mansi, hope that answered, or like, is there any follow-up related to? Okay, how can we approach estimates? Um, okay, so like, firstly, if all of you have heard of this term, MISI, then it's good. So MISI is mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Okay, so you have to draw a structure, okay, which is covering all the aspects firstly. Okay, you are not messing on any particular so like if I pose a question to you, okay, that how many toothpastes are manufactured in India in a single financial year? Okay, now okay, supposedly this is the question. Okay, we'll just spend like around 4-5 minutes into developing the structure of how to solve it. I won't solve the problem. That's like for you guys to solve. Okay, well, I'll tell you how to approach it. Okay, now there is one thing here which all of you might miss. Okay, which is that you might not consider the toothpaste which are already there in the supply chain, but have not delivered, but have not been delivered to your houses. So if you are going MECI, then you will approach like include this aspect as well. Otherwise, you will skip it. Okay. Now, like we can go from a top to bottom approach or a bottom to top approach. Okay, top to bottom would be typically how many toothpaste firms are there which manufacture toothpaste. Okay, into like how many on an average how many toothpaste are manufactured by that particular firm. Okay, so first you develop that structure. So this is, if you're going from top to bottom, this is the broad structure. Okay, the structure is including all the aspects. Okay, and before you proceed further, just try to clarify whether we are like including toothpaste which are exported as well, or we are or imported, or we're just considering which are sold locally. Okay, so like such kind of questions you have to ask before proceeding with your structure. Okay, so this was the top to bottom structure. Okay, then you have two components. First is number of companies which are manufacturing toothpaste, and the second is how many number of toothpaste which are manufactured on an average by a particular company. Now, for number of companies, you can again divide it into say three segments. One can be your big firms, okay, which like might be manufacturing say more than 1 million or more than 10 million toothpaste. So that might include your Colgate or Pepsodent or those kind of firms. Okay, then there can be mid-range companies and low, which are manufacturing in low quantities. Okay, then next thing is like identify how many big firms are there, how many like mid-level firms are there, and like how many small manufacturing units are there, and then take an average, and that's how you will just add up and multiply, and you'll get the answer. So this is like the top to bottom approach. But this approach is not good if you are solving this problem. The better way is like the bottom to top approach, which we will go through the demand side. Okay, so for that, uh, like again, you have to develop a structure for this. Okay, uh, so how many households are there in India? Okay, multiplied by how many toothpastes are utilized by a particular household. Okay, and the frequency of replacement, because on an average you might be using a toothpaste for say 3 months. Like it would last probably a month or 1.5 months or whatever. So you might be using say 8 to 10 toothpastes over a course of 1 year. Okay, so like that is how you will go about it. Okay, then again the consumption frequency would be different. Okay, so once you're calculating number of households, I don't think I have to go through how many households would be there. Okay, that would be typically your population divided by like the average family size. You can take it to be 4 for urban areas and 5 for like rural areas. Okay, so that's how you'll get the households. Then you can classify your households. Okay, so these are the rich households. They would be consuming more compared to poor households, which would be consuming like at a 20% consumption rate of the rich households or whatever. So you can assign a metric. And this thing you need to clarify with your interviewer what all assumptions you are taking. Okay, so always clarify your assumptions. Okay, then uh, like how many toothpastes are consumed by a household. Okay, so uh, they can be 2 or 3 toothpastes which are used simultaneously. Like people have different preferences, or there can be a single toothpaste as well. And again the frequency. Okay, how soon it is getting replaced. So it will be very different for a like urban household compared to a rural one. Okay, once you have included that, then I mentioned that you also need to take into account the ones which have not reached the consumers but which are in the supply chain. So typically it would be say 0.6 times or 1. Again, this assumption you need to clarify with the interviewer. Once you have made the entire calculations, you can come up with the answer. So this is how you can approach a guesstimate problem. Okay, I went through it in a very swift overview. Okay, but again, like if you like have any specific guesstimate which you have, okay, how should I approach this particular problem? Then you can always feel free to like ask.
Okay, well, I think we don't have any more questions for now, so you can proceed.
Okay, so moving next. Uh, yeah, last was the factors and sources. Okay, so like if you want to start with the case interview process, typically I advise that if you are going about the case interview process, you should start about 1.5 months prior to your interview, not more than that, and not like don't prepare for just 2 weeks and go for the case interview, because it won't be helpful. Okay, so in that period of say 40 to 60 days, okay, the initial steps would be like going through these particular sites. You could go through the YouTube channels, okay, so interview, crack, teaching, and like Aditya Agarwal. Okay, then the on three here. Okay, case interview crack, day 1.0, and case in point. So you can go through these three books. They will provide you, okay, what all frameworks are there, okay, and like what are questions you need to ask, okay. And always when you're doing a case interview prep, like make it in the form of interview. Don't and you be the interviewee. Okay, questions. Then you develop your analysis. Okay, and that's how the process will go on. So after you have gone through these three books, you can take up the consulting guides of different clubs. Okay, like CNA also has, and you can take up from IIMs. Different IITs would be having. FMS is again a good one. Okay, like I'll advise like go through IIM A, B, C, ISB, and FMS. So these are the ones which are pretty good. Okay, now this is like one aspect. The second aspect is the generality. Okay, you need to have a good level of business understanding. Okay, if you want to come up with, okay, what all problems can be there, and what all creative solutions I should propose. Okay, so like I've listed on a few things. Like it's a actually day-to-day habit, and it's not just okay. I'll start this 1 month prior to that interview. It needs to develop over a period of time. Okay, so like the most basic thing that you can do is like grab the newspaper and read the business section. Okay, so that will help you a lot. Okay, so I think that was it. No other slides or anything. But yeah, I'm like open for questions. So whatever questions are there, we can probably answer those.
So guys, if you have any other questions, you are free to put in the chat. We'll be addressing it.
Guys, like be free to ask whatever questions you have. Like it can be the most
We have a
question as
question on
well.
phone. How to start preparation consulting? I mean, what's a good start?
Okay, how to start off with consulting, right? That's the question.
Yeah.
Okay, so like as I mentioned, so you can start with like first like try to read the like business section. If you are accustomed to okay what all business news are there, so like that's the first step. The second step is like start off with a few projects and case competitions. Okay, that will get you a hang of okay what exactly is there in consulting and whether this field is suited for me. Okay, once you have made one or two projects, you have taken part in a competition or so. Okay, then you can start on building your resume, because the resume would be the most important aspect of your interviews as well. Okay, so try to gain it like experiences. Okay, the rest things like PORs and stuff. So that is like a regular process. You don't need to focus so much on consulting for that. Okay, and like again building CPI, those things are normal. Okay, but try to gain one or two experiences. Okay, and improve your extracurriculars as well if you are focused on consulting. Okay, I think one guy asked for my email ID. I'll just type it here. Hope that answered the question.
Yeah, also we have another question. So are case studies like product or UX case studies acceptable in a consulting resume for internship?
all projects are acceptable. So like it can be a finance related project, it can be a design project, it can be like design UX UI or a data analysis. So yeah, so like these typically or a market research or market analysis, so or other kinds of projects. So these 4-5 types of projects. Okay, any other questions? Maybe I can stop sharing the screen. Yeah, any other questions?
Also, Bhaiya, is the application for product management profiles similar to consulting?
Applications or product management profiles as an
Yeah, is it similar to consulting or different?
No, I didn't get like what do you mean by the applications of product management?
Application procedure, the application procedure. I think that's what the form meant. Yeah. So in the
Okay, so that is yeah. Got the question, Abhay. So it's the process is very similar. Just like in product management, also you will initially have a resume shortlist. Okay, there might be an aptitude test in product management, like which will include your logical based questions. Or like usually it's not there. That like that process also. Okay, and uh, like the second or the third step is your product interviews. The product interviews, the case interviews again are very similar. Just in a product interview, you are focused on say a particular product of that company or some other company, like innovative uh, solutions to diagnose the product problem or provide improvements to that particular product. So that any other question?
Yes, Priya. So we have a question. So basically, can you describe your experience when you were preparing for consulting internships in your pre-final year?
Yeah. Okay. So like at the end of my second year, I like decided that okay, consulting was one particular field that interests me a lot. So post that, I started developing my resume for consulting. Okay, I was like, very helpful for the fact that during my towards the end of my second year and start of third year, I along with a few of my batchmates, we consulted few startups, okay, as and solve the business problems. So we had help with from few mentors, okay, and like that gave that like for internships. Again, it was typically cold emailing and like connecting with employees on LinkedIn as well. Okay, so that's how I landed my first internship in EY. Okay, uh, it was based on government advisory. Okay, and we had public sector clients only for that. Okay, uh, all like the education ministries and the state education departments. So those were the clients for that. Okay, that gave me a little corporate outlook as to okay how the proposal systems work. Okay, how you like pitch to a particular client and like conduct proper market research for that. Okay, so that gave me a little corporate exposure. Okay, the next was again a management consulting internship at PwC, and like at the end, it was an operations strategy intern at Marico. Okay, so in that in the Marico one, it was typically asked about how like the plant efficiency can be improved. Okay, so like how the truck turnover time can be reduced and other like concepts related to that. Okay, so basically the cost as well as the time taken to like produce the particular good that is manufacturing, how that can be minimized. So that was the purpose of that internship. PwC, it was focused on like the digital education strategy of Microsoft. So it was based on that.
So
Yeah, Mansi, anything else?
I think that's the end of questions. So here, so we are at the end of session. So on behalf of the organizing team, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks for this occasion and express my sincere gratitude to you for taking your invaluable time and also for sharing your valuable insights on the subjects. And also thank you all of you for joining for the session. If you have any further doubts, you can ask Utkarsh Bhaiya directly or mail to our ID. We'll be sharing that Bhaiya and we'll get back to you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for hosting me and all the people who attended the talk. Hope it was a little helpful. Like if you have any further doubts or any other clarifications or whatever that you might be having, you can just ping me or club is always there.